the time. We'll come back to our conversation about Will Smith's activities at the Oscars in a moment, but to other stories and a schools shake-up on the way. Now, I know many educationists will shake their head in disbelief. Surely there have been enough, but there is a white paper today. The Education Secretary, Nadhim Zahawi, from whom you'll hear in a moment, will announce councils will be able to set up and run their own academy trusts, which, it is hoped, it says, will encourage more primary schools to make the transition to academies. Here with all the details that we require, Conservative MP, Education Secretary Nadhim Zahawi. What is it exactly that you're announcing today, Secretary of State? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm good,
Well, the white paper is about making sure that we have strong schools. That's what parents listening to this programme will want, with great teachers for their children. Because I don't believe that children in Knowsley are less talented than children in Kensington. And we've got to make sure that we deliver for them. At the moment, only 2/3 of primary school children finish primary school with the ability to read, write and do maths to an acceptable standard. I want to raise that to 90%. The evidence is that families of schools that are tightly managed, really well supported in a high-performing, and I underline high-performing, multi-academy trust, because some of them aren't high-performing, and the white paper speaks to how we're going to deal with that, deliver much better outcomes. Actually, that evidence has been reinforced through the pandemic, because that additional support to teachers, to heads, of being in a family of schools has meant they were able to cope much better through the pandemic. That's the evidence. That's what I want to do. We are about to announce our 10,000th academy. I've got 22,000 schools. That's real scale. And I want everyone to join us on this journey. If you're in local government and you think you can run schools well, set up a trust. We will treat you equally like every other trust. You can deliver a great education for your students.
But for my
if
listeners,
you are the Church of England, the Catholic
indeed.
Church, or grammar schools.
But for my
everybody's
listeners,
joining on the journey.
Secretary of State, what is it? Why is a school that is run by a trust better than a school that is run by the London Borough of Upper Whoop Whoop, or whatever it might be? What is it that the academy or the trust brings?
So what high-performing, and again I underline high-performing academy trusts, multi-academy trusts, deliver the support so that heads are not worrying about back-office functions and the stuff that they shouldn't be worrying about, and they're focusing on teacher quality. We're spending $250 million on teacher training opportunities, 500,000 teacher training opportunities. So early careers framework for teachers, the initial teacher training, the later on in life further professional development. That's really important, as well as, of course, extracurricular activities from Spanish to art to all the things that the really high-performing multi-academy trusts do today. I want to scale to every other part of the country.
And what sticks out in our conversation is the large body. I don't know how many there are. I would have thought a few thousand schools that are C of E or Roman Catholic or Jewish or whatever it might be. What is your view? What are your ambitions there, Secretary of State?
They are joining us on this journey. I've been engaging with them really, really deeply to make sure we protect their characteristics so they feel that they can join us on this journey. Because like with vaccine, I wasn't interested in how many vaccines we had in the warehouse. I wanted to know how quickly can we get them in people's arms, save their lives. Every day, every week, every month that goes by, where I've got 900 schools out of the 22,000 that aren't good, they're below good, so they're requiring improvement. That's a day too many for me, where children are not getting that opportunity that I had in my life to be able to achieve to the best of my talent. And that's why I want to do this and do it well with the sector. We've looked at the evidence very carefully. I always say I'm the evidence-led Secretary of State, and I think the evidence is very clear that high-performing multi-academy trusts, that those families of schools, deliver great outcomes. Teacher quality makes a huge difference, and just making sure that we deliver the recovery. I've got £5 billion of recovery money, so the National Tutoring Programme has been a real success story. We've already announced 1 million blocks of tutoring that's delivered, another million by the end of this academic year, 6 million blocks by the end of this Parliament. Your listeners should be asking their schools, are they participating in the National Tutoring Programme? Because one of the pledges we're making in the white paper is a pledge to parents that teachers will discuss with them if their child is falling behind in maths or English and what they're doing to use things like the National Tutoring Programme to help that child recover.
While I have the benefit of you on the line, a couple of other matters. It is reported that Prince William, following the completion of his tour of the Caribbean with his wife, wants a change of tack within the royal family. He wants to be more on the front foot. He wants to end the era of don't complain, don't explain. Were those pictures of him and his wife in an open-top Land Rover wearing the sort of military uniform really his father or his late grandfather was wearing, was that an unfortunate hark back to colonial times, Mr. Zahawi?
No, I don't believe that. I think the tour has been a fantastic outreach for the Prince and his wife. They've done a tremendous job, I think.
They've had some local difficulties. You have to acknowledge those, Mr. Zahawi.
I don't disagree with you, but some of that is really sort of the Twitter outrage, where you had Raheem Sterling shaking hands with the same kids that Prince William and Catherine shook hands with, and one is headlined as a wonderful outreach program, and the other one is headlined differently. So I don't buy that. I think we should be proud of the Commonwealth. I think Prince William was very wise to say, actually, it's up to the Commonwealth people and the countries if they feel they want him to be the head of the Commonwealth. I think that will strengthen the Commonwealth, not weaken it. And I think Prince Charles will make a great king, as will Prince William.
Looking at other matters, the Spring statement has had a lot of criticism over the weekend. There are suggestions that your colleague, Mr. Sunak, will look to provide extra assistance. Is more assistance needed than was provided last week?
So what Rishi did was deliver £22 billion in 1 year. It's important that your listeners understand it's 1 year of help. The £22 billion is because we are in a global battle against inflation. What does that mean? The Americans are battling it, the Europeans are battling it. It means that your weekly shopping bill basket is going up. It means your utility bills are going up. Now, that 22 billion, 1 billion of it is going to local authorities who really do know those families that need the most help. So really targeted. He doubled that budget from £500 million to £1 billion. 9 billion is going towards utility bills, help with energy bills. But we are not resting on our laurels. We're not saying job done. We're saying we'll continue to review it because actually energy prices, as you know, are volatile. And it's right to keep it under review because we will do everything, as he did in the pandemic. 400 billion, one of the most comprehensive responses in the world of protecting jobs, that safety net for 14 million people of the furlough scheme. This is what this Chancellor is about. He'll do the same to protect people through this global battle against inflation.
Lastly, talking protection, the very live debate at the moment, Mrs. Zahawi, is the action Will Smith took when a comedian, Chris Rock, made a rather unfortunate comment about his wife at the Oscars last night. I can give you more detail if you need it. Were someone to make an unfortunate comment about Mrs. Zahawi, would you slap him?
I saw the video and I saw the tearful apology from Will Smith. Violence is never the answer to any problem solving. I think as Will Smith apologised, admitted to himself in that tearful, heart-wrenching apology, I think we should also remember, and I'm the Education Secretary, that actually sometimes even a joke can be below the belt. When you joke about somebody's wife and her illness, she has alopecia, is wrong. I think Chris Rock was mistaken to do that to Mrs. Smith. I have to say, the first Oscar for one of my favourite actors was wonderful to see, marred by that incident, sadly. He apologised for it. He knew he did wrong because violence is never the answer, as you know. But the film, King Richard, is brilliant because, again, it's a story of a father who's truly aspirational for his daughters, not just because he wanted them to be tennis stars, because he wanted their education to be brilliant. He made sure that girls could speak several languages, completed their education. That is a real role model. And I wish Will Smith and his family well, and I'm glad he apologised because actually violence is never the answer to these things.
Only the great Zahawi could bring it all the way around back to the conversation about education. As ever, indebted to you, Education Secretary Nadhim Zahawi, appearing here on LBC, who are 1 minute after 8. News is next.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 8 o'clock, Ukraine's president has admitted it will be impossible to completely force Russia out of his country.